We have some news with respect to the federal minimum wage and legislation that is attempting to raise it. The Hill reports Representative Bobby Scott, a Democrat of Virginia, and Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, introduced the Raise the Wage Act of 2025 on Tuesday in both chambers with hopes of increasing the federal minimum wage. The bill would raise the minimum wage to $17 by 2030, according to the Economic Policy Institute. The current federally mandated hourly wage is $7.25 and has not increased since 2009. Quote, "No person working full-time in America should be living in poverty. The Raise the Wage Act will increase the pay and standard of living for nearly 22 million workers across this country," said Scott, who is a ranking member of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce. Quote, "Raising the minimum wage is good for workers, good for business, and good for the economy. When we put money in the pockets of American workers, they will spend that money in their communities," he added. The legislation, which has 142 co-sponsors in the House, would index future pay increases while phasing out the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers and sub-minimum wage for youth workers, in addition to ending sub-minimum wage certificates for workers with disabilities. Quote, "In the year 2025, a job should lift you out of poverty, not keep you in it. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, we can no longer tolerate millions of workers trying to survive on just $10 or $12 an hour," Sanders, who caucuses with Democrats, said in a release. He described current pay rates as a starvation wage. Well, yeah, 2009, the last time they raised the minimum wage, it's $7.25 an hour. It still is. Now, to be fair, virtually nobody is making that in a state. Some people are making less, though, by the way, the way things go and the way people get screwed over. But plenty of states have higher minimum wages. For example, in some states, they'll pay entry-level employees $15 an hour. And of course, that's the number that Senator Bernie Sanders was fighting for a long time, is a federal minimum wage of $15 an hour. So state minimum wages might be higher than $7.25. And so people make more than that. The state I'm from, Michigan, back in 2015, 2016, their minimum wage was $8.50 an hour. So at that time, at least, that's markedly better than $7.25 an hour. But still, should we really be talking about just crumbs like this for people who work 40 hours a week? They sacrifice that much of their week to work, and that's barely even enough to meet the bare necessities. If it's even enough, depending on how high the cost of living is, Senator Sanders is generally right that amount is kind of just a starvation wage that you're barely getting by, if at all. It's kind of embarrassing. And yes, by the way, there is such thing as raising the minimum wage as too high. $17 is not within that too high realm. $17 is plenty moderate. Plenty moderate. There are people talking about raising it to the 20s or the 30s even. They're like, yeah, no, we need serious revolution. And there are probably going to be people on the left saying 17 an hour, and they'll be scoffing at it. They'll be saying, we need to raise it way higher than that. And they'll say Bernie Sanders isn't progressive enough. He's too much of a capitalist. They'll criticize him for that. Same with Bobby Scott, the representative who co-sponsored this legislation with him. But yeah, the discussion in this country has shifted in favor of raising the federal minimum wage, but it's not necessarily the top issue at the moment. Could it be one, though, with the way that the tariffs are potentially going to work? I mean, they're paused right now, but if the tariffs bring up the cost of living so much that people need more money in their pockets, could this get Republicans to support raising the minimum wage? I doubt it, but it could get the public to more aggressively and more broadly support it. The public already does, actually. They do. Many people at the state level actually vote in favor of raising the minimum wage, even if they end up voting for Republican candidates at the presidential level. So a little bit of a disconnect there. But yeah, raising the minimum wage is popular. You just got to raise it to a reasonable amount, not to something like $92 an hour overnight. But this, we're talking about $17 an hour by 2030, 5 years. Come on, guys. Anyone painting this as extreme socialist nonsense is just totally wrong. They're totally misguided, and they don't understand economics. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Morris the Merrier, and I look forward to speaking to you in my next video.